Yes. Right, let's just check the website. That says we're offline. Okay. Oh no! Oh my God, we're live. Oh, okay.
Oh, really? Cool.
That was seamless. Oh my God, I'm so proud of us. Oh, oh God, echo. That was seamless. Oh my God, I'm so proud of us. Oh God. Okay. Muted the stream. Everything's good. Let's just
Okay.
pretend that never happened.
Nope, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Excellent. um, right. Would you mind manning the stream should somebody show up? It's on twitch.tv/grow the left.
Okay.
Great.
Hey, I'm in here.
It's your face.
Oh,
I'm so glad it's not just me.
yeah. So I can see the stream.
Wonderful. Just mute it and then we can carry on. And if somebody shows up in chat, then they can.
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent. I'm just going to tweet the link. Maybe somebody's awake. And but since we're since we're live, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Bryce. I go by Goat Boy on Twitter.
Excellent. And where did your interest in gardening come from?
Um, it's actually not that old. I started gardening pretty regularly, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Um, my dad and my brother live
Mm-hmm.
in Georgia,
Oh
and they
wow.
started like a gardening and landscaping business.
Oh, that's
And so I went
brilliant.
down to Georgia and I helped them with that for
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 years and learned a lot. And I
Oh, I
quite enjoy
imagine.
growing food.
Yeah.
I think it's healthy.
Oh, absolutely. Was it gardening business? Was it like landscaping or like?
We did a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So the business was called Garden Starters
Okay.
because when they started doing it, the idea was they would go to um, old people's houses or people who couldn't like
Yeah.
physically garden themselves,
Oh, that's
and they
brilliant.
would start the garden for them. They would
Mm-hmm.
dig out the flower
Yeah.
box
Yeah.
and till the soil and all that, and then eventually they kept getting offers to do more and more different kinds of work.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
sort of grew
Oh, that's
into
that.
that.
That sounds amazing. Like doing all the hard graft so that people can just go in and enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. The slogan that my dad liked to use, he made
Mm-hmm.
commercials for them.
Yeah.
Um, he liked to say, "You don't have to do
That's a
it."
good
So
slogan.
yeah, I mean, it's short, it's to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we did that for several years,
Mm-hmm.
and then I moved to Michigan 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and I sort of really haven't been able to garden regularly since
Mm-hmm.
then. So I'm looking to get back into it
Oh
in
God,
the
yeah. We
spring.
we need to put your GoFundMe into the on the stream.
Oh,
I'm gonna figure out how to do that by the next time we stream. I
yeah,
promise. I.
it'll be fine. We've got time.
It's like all widgets and programs that you need to download, and I'm
Yeah,
I'm a boomer. I'm just gonna need 2 hours to do that.
yeah, it's fine.
Excellent.
It's fine.
And your interest in gardening is mostly food, from what I see on your
Yeah,
timeline. Yeah.
that's my favorite thing is
Mm-hmm.
edibles. I haven't really done, or I've done a lot of flowers, but not
Mm-hmm.
for myself.
Okay.
Um, I just, I don't know. I think food and the plants look good anyway.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
you know, um, yeah. So we've grown quite a variety of
Mm-hmm.
different vegetables and fruits, but
Do you have a
uh,
favorite there?
uh, peppers by far are my favorite. All
Oh,
kinds of
awesome.
peppers and
Uh-huh.
chilies. Um, you can grow in Georgia. You can grow pretty much every pepper
Mm-hmm.
pretty well, uh, and then
Michigan's quite a lot
other
colder than Georgia, isn't
yeah
it? Yeah.
yeah. So Georgia is hardiness zone 7, and Michigan is hardiness zone 5.
Oh, okay.
Um, I think Munich is zone 7 too.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Let me check. Oh no.
Oh?
Ooh, no. Yeah, 7.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah. So um, growing in Georgia is it's a little bit better, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, um, than well, I don't really know because I haven't tried to garden anything in Germany before, but I think it would be a little bit better
Okay.
because the
Well,
growing
yeah.
season is from about the early part of March
Oh,
until like
wow.
November. Things can still grow.
Oh my God, I'm
So
so
like
jealous.
yeah, so like you plant before April even,
Oh my
and
God.
yeah,
Like
so
this year I put out a pumpkin in like late May and it like froze. Just complete.
yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
So we had we've had a lot of success, especially with
Mm-hmm.
peppers, because uh, really hot chilies usually
Yeah.
need really hot weather.
Mm-hmm.
So for most of the year in Georgia, it's between 75 and 105
Oh, okay.
Fahrenheit.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the 30s in
Yeah.
Celsius.
Uh-huh.
Um, and like,
Like as somebody
yeah, just
who
makes it,
doesn't like hot, I'm glad I don't live there, but I'd love to garden there.
yeah, it's, that was one of those big challenges that
Mm-hmm.
people found to like growing or doing their own lawn care even
Yeah.
in Georgia is that like, if it's 110 degrees and
Yeah.
80% humidity,
I'm not gonna be
you
doing
can't
much
go
gardening.
outside in
Yeah.
that. So yeah, so like they they'd pay pretty good wages just to
Oh
like
God, I
mow
imagine,
grass.
yeah.
Um, so doing things that were crazy, like
Mm.
when we started, we didn't have access to any equipment. We had like shovels
Yeah.
and pickaxes
Oh my
and like
God.
a wheelbarrow, and
How did
so
you survive that? Oh my God.
it, you just do. um, so the first one of the first gardens that we did, we had to build these flower boxes from
Mm-hmm.
scratch in someone's yard,
Yeah.
and we're all from Michigan, and my dad was in New
Mm-hmm.
York for a long time. So none of us are like native to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't really know what we were getting into. And we moved. So we were like, yeah, sure, we'll build a flower box, no problem. And
Just
we
blue-eyed
go out
ingenues.
there and it's 100 degrees. And we start, we go with the shovels and we
Uh-huh.
start digging and we get about 3 or 4 inches down. And then we just hit solid clay.
Oh my
Like,
God.
and it was like
And probably
genuine,
pretty much
like
baked
modeling
in that
clay.
heat.
Yeah. So the first day, when we hit the clay, we were like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we didn't bring like a pickaxe or
Yeah.
anything to like bust clay up because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know Georgia was just clay soil. Um, and so the next day when we went back, all the clay that we had exposed had
Mm-hmm.
hardened and dried over.
Oh my God.
So we had to go in. We had one pickaxe,
Mm-hmm.
and we just like took turns swinging at the clay with this pickaxe, and like you could get the tip in,
Mm-hmm.
but then you can't pull it back out
Oh my God.
because it's just stuck
Yeah,
in
yeah.
clay. So like you're just drawing lines in clay back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
It took forever.
Tilling the clay.
Yeah, we were just tilling clay, and so. But the good thing about
Mm-hmm.
gardening in Georgia was that like there were so many, like it didn't take very long to get into like really rural areas,
Mm-hmm.
so you could get things like good healthy growing soil
Oh,
like
brilliant.
very cheap
Mm-hmm.
very easily, and
Yeah.
usually a guy would just come by with a pickup truck and just push the soil off the back and it's fine.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah,
Mm.
you can get like a ton of soil for like $120, $130.
Oh wow.
It's like yeah, like a ton.
Yeah.
It's like a good that's enough to
Mm.
do pretty much whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So
How about like land prices? Just like literally the square feet to
Just
garden on.
okay. So land in Georgia isn't very expensive
Mm-hmm.
compared to. It's difficult because there's a huge range in land prices in America.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to places like Oklahoma or some places in Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
land is just genuinely cheap.
Okay.
Like you can get an acre of land in Oklahoma for $500. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and so that would be like a 209 foot each side
Mm-hmm.
square.
Yeah.
Um, in Georgia, you probably get an acre around $2,000 in most places,
Okay.
um, which is still not
That's a
expensive.
yeah, but it's a jump, definitely.
Yeah, but it's a significant price hike.
Mm-hmm.
So um, yeah, I've looked at some interesting places in Georgia where you can get, you know, 10 acres of land for
Mm-hmm.
$10,000.
Nice.
Um, yeah, and then
Yeah.
the problem is you get into what they call high needs areas
Okay.
where the soil doesn't drain well enough for you to dig a well.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so you'd have to have water delivered in
Mm-hmm.
like every week or every month, depending how well you could store water.
Yeah.
That gets complicated, and
Mm-hmm.
then
And
they don't get
pricey.
quite enough, and it gets pricey, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they get a lot of sun, but not quite enough to run like a whole household off of easily. So you would have to
Oh,
get a
okay.
really intricate system
Uh-huh.
in order to like get electricity because they don't have
Yeah.
like utilities run nearby. Um,
Oh, yeah, because it's like far away from
so
everything, basically.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, God.
Um, I found that in a few different
Mm-hmm.
states that I've looked at
Yeah.
that it gets real expensive.
Yeah. In Germany, it's basically just the land. The land is ridiculously expensive, and everything
Oh
else
yeah,
is not that big of a deal after that. Like once you've got the land sorted, then everything just sort of comes on its own.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
my oh, sorry.
Mm, go ahead.
My grandmother has a oh God, what are they called? Like a little garden plot. It's like a community, not a community garden. Like
Yeah,
everyone has their like individual plots, but she
sure.
got one of those. And in her little community, there was a waiting list of 25 years.
Holy cow.
Yep.
Yeah, where I'm at now, there's a community garden. It's the
Allotment.
same
That's what
basic
they're
thing.
called.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
same basic thing where you
Mm-hmm.
rent your plot.
Yeah.
Um, and the community garden is, I think, 150 yards from my house.
Wow.
So like, it's right. It's
It's right there,
I can
yeah.
almost see it.
Uh-huh.
They don't have a waiting list, but they refresh all of their like rentals. Everyone's like
Oh,
lease
like,
every year.
oh my God.
So in the spring, it could be a whole new set of people that come
Yeah,
in.
yeah. And you can't really
And it's
like plant any trees because you don't know whether you're going to
no,
be
you
there.
can't plant trees. You can't.
Oh God.
You
Okay.
can plant perennial things,
Uh-huh.
but you just have to be very diligent about applying for your same plot
Oh
every year.
God. Okay, yeah.
Otherwise, someone might want to dig it up. Um, yeah,
Keeping
it's
you on
weird.
your toes. Good God.
Yeah, it's run by the university here.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so
Is it a sort of
you can
research
kind of
plot
understand
or
why they
yeah,
do
oh
it.
yeah. Like
No, I think it's like the students there, like the botany
mm-hmm.
students,
Yeah. Oh yeah, well then the
they can
yearly lease is
experiment.
kind of understandable.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like tied in with that,
Mm-hmm.
and you can pay. I think it's $80 per season to
That's
grow
that's
there.
an okay price.
Um, yeah, but I haven't gotten in yet.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they're just exclusive about like who goes there.
Okay. They
I
just
think it's
prefer their
required.
students, which is understandable.
Yeah, and like there are probably people who try year after year after
Mm-hmm.
year to grow, so it's fine. Um,
It'd
I
still be
got
nice.
permission this year to make a garden in our
Mm-hmm.
backyard at the house I'm at.
Oh great.
That's going to be an interesting project.
Yeah.
It's yeah, the yard back there, it's really tiny,
Mm-hmm.
and most of like either overgrown or covered with trees.
Okay.
Um, so I have to figure out how I'm going to prune back enough trees to
Yeah.
get enough light to get good plant growing. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Something to do anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Shall we get on to leftist gardening and what we think it is and what it does and what it's good for?
Yeah.
Let's go into a raison d'etre.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Leftist garden.
Sorry?
It's.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Yeah. When I think about gardening specifically, like as a leftist, as part
Mm-hmm.
of your praxis,
Yeah.
um, it's to me, it's about gaining some sort of resource independence
Mm-hmm.
from a capitalistic system of production.
Yeah.
Um, I think I said it on Twitter a while ago that like if the capitalists own your food,
Mm-hmm.
you can't rebel. You
Yeah.
can't revolt in any way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to have the ability to provide for ourselves
Mm-hmm.
in the event that there's a general strike or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Um, we don't immediately all starve to death. That's one of the biggest
Yeah.
levers that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and if you do things like community gardening,
Mm-hmm.
we did a lot of that in Georgia. We started a lot of community gardens,
Oh, wonderful.
and if you do a lot of that, you know, you get that community self-reliance and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of mutual aid.
Yeah.
Those are some principles that you can just practice directly through the garden itself.
Yeah. I also find like gardeners among themselves have this really like self-reliance and community help because whenever you go to a gardener and say like how what do you do about like I don't know my leaves have silly spots on them like what do you do and like
Yeah,
everyone always shares all their tips and all their things and when you say like oh that's a nice rose bush they always give you a cutting they always give you seeds they always give you
yeah,
everything you need and it's just it's so heartwarming.
yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and it's just as a practice. It, like I said, it's all those principles
Mm-hmm.
are all wrapped up in this act
Yeah.
that like just through the act of doing it,
Mm-hmm.
you'll learn sort of more of the leftist theory, the
Yeah.
leftist, you know, ideology
Mm-hmm.
that you then would have applied.
Yeah.
So instead of, you know, spending 3 years reading Marx and all the
Have you because I
Rockwell
haven't.
and all these guys, you can just start growing food and go to
Mm-hmm.
a farmer's market
Yeah.
and like you'll learn the same lesson.
Oh yeah.
It's and it tastes better.
Yeah, and it's also good practice because like telling people about like like worker organized workspaces just doesn't like people are just not used to that, so they just don't think it's
Yeah,
possible. But when you say just run it like your community garden, everyone gets together and makes decisions, and then everyone does the work that is decided on communally,
yeah,
and that's like
yeah.
oh yeah, that's I can do that.
In one of the gardens that we worked on in Georgia all the time, they had like a weekly potluck sort of
Oh, lovely.
lunch thing where
Mm-hmm.
like everybody brings the food that they've been cooking with the vegetables from the garden.
Oh, amazing.
So like, yeah, it's just that's like you said, it's like an organizing effort in and of
Mm-hmm.
itself.
Yeah.
It's really, like I said, it's quite healthy.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think I don't. And the other weird thing is, I haven't ever read a lot of
Mm-hmm.
theory. I've read quite a lot of theory in my life,
Yeah.
but nothing that ever mentioned gardening specifically as a
Me neither.
revolutionary act.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never even heard of it referenced. The closest is Henry David Thoreau, who
Mm-hmm.
isn't even
Yeah.
like explicitly leftist.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote a lot about self-reliance, and he
Yeah.
lived for a long time off of the land,
Mm-hmm.
um, out on his own. But there's nothing distinct with that, distinct from all of the like neoconservative fascist like
Yeah.
wilderness material on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. There's
So
also like weirdly, there's a lot of like right wing parties to gardening, as in like tilling the soil and the native species and
yep.
blah blah. Blah. But I don't have any like the left wing parties don't really like the Green Party does it, but they're like a neoliberal shit show, so that
Hmm.
doesn't really count.
Yeah. Um,
The only
yeah.
leftist that I know of who was really into gardening was Bertolt Brecht, but that's it. And he was like he wrote plays.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you know, at least that's one.
yeah. We've got the one, and then there's
Yeah,
us,
but
obviously.
yeah, and then us. Yeah, but that's been something that really has
Mm,
concerned me from the last couple of months because it
yeah.
hasn't been forever that I've been on YouTube looking
Hmm.
at gardens or like wilderness
It's
survival or
all
anything.
prepper stuff. It's
It's
ridiculous.
all doomsday preppers. It's
Yeah.
wild. I've seen it's either doomsday preppers
Hmm.
or they're like 8-year-old tutorial videos
Yeah.
that someone made on like a really terrible hand
Yeah.
camera. It's like, man,
Really shaky and
it's just there's just nothing out here that's like
yeah.
healthy to watch.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the wilderness and like
Hmm.
I really like the idea of bushcraft and camping.
Yeah.
I don't like to do it because I hate bugs.
You're
But
a gardener who hates bugs? Oh my god.
yeah, yeah, I hate them.
Cancelled. Cancelled.
Yeah, it's just I evict every spider from my
Uh-huh.
garden. Um, I keep a can of Raid next to my bed just in case a spider shows up. But yeah,
But
I
spiders are comrades.
yeah, well, hmm. um, hmm. No, I don't like it.
Hmm.
So I haven't never really gotten into camping, but I've
Yeah.
watched a lot of camping on YouTube.
Hmm.
Um, and I didn't even realize how like toxic the ideology that they were practicing
Yeah.
was until like every once in a while you just catch a word or two
Hmm.
that someone says. And you're like, I'm not so sure that that
Yeah.
was right.
I had the same. Like I watched like I went from video to video to video, and like it started out with camping, and then it started out with like just in case, and then it started out with like what if an emergency happens, and then it like sort of devolved into what if the urban hordes attack, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, what? What
Excuse me, wait a minute.
now? Yeah.
Where did this come from? Yeah, there was one I started watching about a month ago, and like it was they were based in England,
Hmm.
and the guy's like really nice, and he's out there with his
Those are the
dad.
worst.
Huh?
Those are the worst usually. The ones who are like
Yeah,
start out really nice.
and like he starts the video, and you just see him, and he's like, "I'm banging, I'm banging a stake into the ground with this
Hmm.
log, and everything's great." And then I watched maybe 10 or 12 videos and
Hmm.
didn't hear anything disturbing at all.
Yeah.
And then on the 13th video, I turn it on, and the first thing you see is him walk up fully like decked out in paramilitary clothes with like a skull mask on.
Oh my
And
god.
you're like, wait a
What
minute,
happened?
where did this come from? You literally, you, they never mentioned politics. It was
Hmm.
just him and his dad out there like cooking eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
like, this is great, cool, awesome, dude,
Hmm.
full notch,
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
We have to take that
So
space back. It's so disturbing.
yeah, yeah. So that's another thing that's on my list to reclaim. But that's what
Hmm.
my GoFundMe was all about.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
like, how can I get a garden that's substantial enough and nice enough that I
Hmm.
can make like content
Yeah.
for YouTube from a
Hmm.
leftist point of view.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd wanted to get out there to
Hmm.
talk about theory and to talk about like principles and how to build a more moral
Yeah.
society, but I don't want to wind up on BreadTube. Like, I want to avoid all of them.
Okay.
So, like, I figure, maybe if I'm just over here and I'm the weird gardening guy,
Hmm.
that's plenty for me.
Get the niche and
So,
really stake your claim.
yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, trying.
That's brilliant. Wait, I just thought of a question and now it's gone again. Um, Never mind. I'll remember it eventually. Um, do you have like a preference on how community gardens are organized? Like, do you go for allotments or do you go for everything shared or?
Um, so what I like, I think to answer your question, the answer is plots. Is like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of plots.
Okay.
Um, but not because I think everyone needs their own personal space,
Mm-hmm.
but because after having built several gardens,
Yeah.
I think the most efficient way of organizing it is so
Mm-hmm.
that you can reach the center of the planting area
Mm-hmm.
from either side of it.
Okay.
And so you end up, if you do it that way, with plots
Yeah.
anyway.
Necessarily. Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, just the division of labor
Mm-hmm.
is still efficient, even if you don't want someone to control your labor.
Yeah.
Um, so having people who are on these plots working
Mm-hmm.
on these different types of plants, whatever they're going
Mm-hmm.
to produce, um, and then other ones elsewhere working on other things
Yeah.
is just more efficient to
Mm-hmm.
me. So I think plots is the answer, even though it's a little bit counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I've
Like a regimented structure that like enables a sort of like communal work then.
yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Um, I like. I don't like the idea of having to apply for them though.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to figure something else out for how
Yeah.
you get assigned to where
Mm-hmm.
you go. But yeah, definitely there needs to be a breakdown of what's being made in what
Mm-hmm.
quantities at what times,
Yeah.
um, and where, so that one, such you don't end up overproducing any one type of vegetable. No
Mm-hmm.
one needs, a half of an acre of lettuce.
Yeah.
Like there's so much variety that you can make with just a small patch on a garden.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also like it is nice to have elbow room and personal space and to
Mm-hmm.
know if I plant my tomatoes here, no one's going to touch them until
Yeah.
I get back to them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with tomatoes, they're so fickle.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, I think that's the idea. I like in theory
Mm-hmm.
having just a big plot of growing soil
Okay.
and letting people sort of roam about it
Mm-hmm.
and do their thing.
Yeah.
But like it's just not very practical
Mm-hmm.
because who's going to weed the entire plot?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you assign it to each person, you can go to someone and say, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of weeds growing in your area,
Yeah.
and, do you need help taking care of them? Can you take care of them?"
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's not. That's not so much the case if you just have one big growing plot.
Yeah. It's also the trouble that I've seen in sort of like I've had like community beds, like sort of like neighborhoods gotten together and like did one flower bed in the local park. The
Mhm.
problems that I've run into is to like leave it open enough so that everyone feels invited to come, but also like making sure that there are people to do the work, so that people
Mhm.
actually show up on a consistent basis to actually like do the stuff that's not very fun, like weeding, as you said, or like
Mhm.
mulching and all the stuff that nobody wants to do. Like everyone's there for like the harvest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone likes two parts. They like planting and they like
Yes,
harvesting.
yes.
And
The
then
couple of months
outside
in
of that,
between are a
like,
bit of a struggle.
can we just leave it here? Will it grow on its own? Yeah, yeah, it's a bit of a struggle.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why I
the
like.
other thing,
Oh, sorry.
mm,
That's
the
why I
other
like.
thing,
Ah, okay, you go.
okay, the other technique I wanted
Hmm.
to see if there's a way we can apply more broadly
Hmm.
is vertical gardening
Oh wow,
on your
yeah.
property.
Hmm.
Yeah, we never got to the point where we had different designs that we would just install for people,
Hmm.
but we were practicing
Yeah.
in like on our own property, um, just building vertical garden layouts.
Hmm.
And I like that idea a lot
Yeah.
because you can grow quite a lot of food just on the side of like the back of a house,
Hmm.
and that way everybody can still have their own personal space,
Yeah.
but can practice growing.
Hmm.
And if you can find a way to make that a community activity, like maybe you learn how to grow with the community or you trade vegetables within the community,
Hmm.
it's still pretty healthy.
Oh, absolutely. With the vertical gardening, the only problem I've had, like I've tried it in a like sort of like a palette. I've got it off Pinterest,
Hmm.
and like on
Ah,
a
yeah.
on a palette, and I could never get it to like the water just like went in at the top and just whoosh down, and everything on the top layer
Hmm.
just completely bone dry within 10 minutes.
Ah,
Like the real,
yep.
like the technical aspect, and I mean, as I said, I got it off Pinterest, so.
Yeah. Setting drainage rates is like really
Hmm.
difficult with vertical gardens. It takes a lot of practice,
Hmm.
just normal trial and error to
Oh,
figure
okay.
out how to, yeah, how to line the
Mm-hmm.
bottom of them.
Yeah.
Um, Usually, what the best version that we ever made,
Mm-hmm.
um, we had like black like gardening plastic
Oh, okay.
underneath, soil inside that, and then we
Mm-hmm.
just poked holes in the bottom of the plastic,
Okay.
and then
Oh, so
you
it
can
just like
really,
rains down on the row
yeah,
underneath.
exactly.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you sort of start with very few holes and
Mm-hmm.
add more until you get a drainage rate
Yeah.
that's good for the soil above.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then what we were working on after that was trying to figure out a way that you could get drainage for the soil above that was enough water to feed plants below.
Oh,
Um,
okay, yeah.
and we hadn't quite mastered it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we were still like, you'd have to water the top and then just water every layer anyway.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, but that was how we
Mm-hmm.
were going about it, and it was
Yeah.
working out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've seen there's a video series that I'm watching right now where the guys just built a living roof on top of
Oh,
a shed,
brilliant. Yeah.
and they did a different thing
Mm-hmm.
with their water drainage, where like there's a flap of plastic at the back, and so if there's a high enough pressure of water to try and come out of the soil,
Oh,
it'll
brilliant.
open the flap on its
Yeah,
own to
yeah.
drain out. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see
That
how that
sounds
works out.
amazing.
They haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't seen what they grow up there
Mm-hmm.
yet. So
So
we'll see
far, I
how that
haven't
goes.
seen a living roof that's like productive. I've seen it with like, sedums and stuff like that, but never with
Hmm.
anything that's like actually,
Or like grass.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen it
a
with
lot of
grass
that.
quite a lot.
Mm.
Um,
But I mean,
I don't know.
herbs should work. Like they like it pretty dry and pretty bad soil, so like your sages and stuff like that should work pretty well.
Yeah, herbs will do just fine.
Mm.
They can grow pretty much anywhere grass
Yeah.
can grow. Um, but like I haven't seen anything with like substantial vegetables on a roof yet.
No.
No. You could do herbs or you could do microgreens, even though I'm not a big
Yeah,
fan of
I'm
microgreens.
no. I
But
have like a moral, like that waste of seeds. I just like
yeah,
my soul cringes. I can't.
yeah,
No.
it's like a pound of seeds per
Yeah.
month. It's crazy. But if we get to a point where I don't know how many seeds are produced in the
Mm-hmm.
average garden in the average year,
Yeah.
but if you were to save all of your seeds,
Yeah.
maybe
Pro.
maybe
Yeah.
you would have enough seeds to waste some. I don't
Mm.
know. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like when I go to the store and I buy a packet of seeds, that's usually 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
It's like so. I don't know. It's
What could do
but
microgreens with like wild carrots? They have like so many seeds. I
mm,
can see like kind of wonder what that would taste like. I think I'm going to try that because we have wild carrots like
mm,
everywhere in the garden. It's like sort of the back corner that's kind of been abandoned.
ah,
So I might try that. That actually sounds interesting. But like for bought seeds, I could never get myself to do it. Like even
yeah,
if it's like a pound of like broccoli seeds or something, I like that's years of broccoli.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If you just grow it slowly, it's like you'll end
Yeah,
up with way more food, but
exactly.
not of that. Not a lot of that food would end up salad greens,
Yeah, yeah.
which is what microgreens are used for. But
Hmm.
like, I don't know, lettuce isn't that hard to grow, guys. Like, just grow lettuce.
Yep.
Lettuce and cabbage are both
Hmm.
pretty easy.
I just
Um,
planted some winter spinach. I'm really excited about that. Like a
oh,
little
that'll
patch.
be
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So I've got a couple of green leaves now, and like the rest is going to be in spring, like really early spring. And we never
oh
get
yeah,
anything really early spring, so I'm so excited.
yeah. That's the hardest part is
Yeah.
like growing things really early in
Hmm.
the season. We did we would do all of our starter plants early
Hmm.
early in this like late winter, early spring, just
Okay.
indoor grow them.
Hmm.
Because we had a room, sort of like our attic space,
Okay.
but like not an attic. It was
Hmm.
just a room upstairs that was
Okay.
not insulated. And we called that the bonus room because you couldn't
Uh huh.
go in there in the summer because it would be 100 degrees in that room,
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah.
and you couldn't go in there in the winter because it would be
Frozen.
20 degrees in the winter.
Uh huh.
So it's like it's just this bonus room off to the side. And
Yeah.
eventually we were like, okay, well, what if we, put a bunch of grow lights, and
Hmm.
eventually we had boxes that we would use,
Brilliant.
um, where you start the plants in a
Hmm.
box and then you can close the lid
Yeah.
to keep the temperature pretty
Hmm.
stable in there. Um, so usually those were the greens we ate at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
If we like grew vegetables,
Yeah.
otherwise it was just like very common flowers, tulips. People always
Mm-hmm.
wanted you to plant tulips for them, so we would start some. So at,
Uh-huh.
right in the beginning of the spring, we could be
Yeah.
like, all right, we'll start your garden, and here are your flowers, and they're already
Oh, nice.
growing.
Yeah.
Um, but
That's gonna be
yeah,
rough
that's
for landscaping, like making the sort of switch between things that are actually practical for the space and things that people want.
yeah, yeah. Um, you kind of have to just ask. You kind of have to not even ask them
Mm-hmm.
what they
Okay.
want in the space, um, and just guess.
Okay.
And like, you know, for some spots of the garden, especially like at the front of the yard,
Mm-hmm.
um, if they ask for bushes,
Yeah.
sometimes I just give them edible bushes.
Oh, cool.
Like, and you didn't ask for
Mm-hmm.
peas, like
Yeah.
snap
You
peas,
did. Yeah.
but
You didn't
it looks like a
specifically say
normal
not
bush.
to.
Exactly. And then usually lining like walkways and at
Mm-hmm.
porches, you plant like the flowers
Yeah.
because those are the parts that they show off to people anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we had one client named Ed, and Ed specifically didn't want any edible plants on his property
Okay.
because he thought that like he lived where there were a lot of deer
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of animals,
Yeah.
and he thought that the animals would eat edible plants more than inedible plants.
Yeah.
That's not the case at all.
No.
And we tried to tell him like they're gonna eat your roses for sure.
My mom's boss, they were so excited they had a deer in the garden. Like it was just like it was so magical and it was beautiful and like all the rosebuds just gone.
Yep, yep, they eat roses for
Yep.
sure. Um, and it is kind of cool. Like the first time you see a deer walk into your garden,
It's
you're like,
beautiful.
"Oh, it's
Yeah.
amazing! Look at that! It's so close." And then, like
Oh
3 weeks later,
wait.
you're like, "All right, you can't live here." um, yeah. So we eventually he tried to have us make deer fences for him, like
Mm-hmm.
around his garden,
Yeah.
but like he only has like aesthetic like flowering plants in
Mm-hmm.
his whole. So it's like if we put a big fence around it, what's the point of having him there in the first place?
Yeah.
Um, you should have just let me plant the peas. You'd at least be able to eat them.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a nice guy.
Mm.
Oh man.
I'm just noticing we're at 40 minutes and like talking for an hour is all of a sudden really hard when there's a clock on it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Once
like,
you like time yourself, you're like, man,
oh my God.
what are
Like
we
usually
talking
I
about?
could talk about gardening for hours and hours and now it's 45 minutes. I'm like, oh my, what?
What else? What else is there to do
Yeah.
with plants?
They're green and in the ground and
Yep, yep. And you
dirt.
usually want
Dirt is
dirt.
important.
Uh, oh man,
Right.
I when I told my landlord that I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to garden in the
Yeah, yeah.
backyard, they were terrified because the first
Oh,
thing that they asked me was like, "Oh, would you have to compost?" Like,
the smell, yeah.
no, I don't have. I don't have to put cow poop in your yard. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I get by without. Don't
Yeah.
worry. But yeah.
My neighbors have a damson tree in their yard and they're just
Hmm.
never out there and they like the fruit just falls where it lands
Oh wow.
and it reeks of alcohol there in like the late
Yeah,
autumn. It's
that's terrible.
yeah.
Yeah, that's another reason I never really got into trees. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
one, I wasn't in place long enough to
Yeah.
have planted a tree and watched it grow.
Mm-hmm.
We had a peach tree at our
Oh,
house
cute.
that
Oh, in Georgia, of course.
yeah, in Georgia. Yeah, of course you do. Um, that they planted uh, when maybe 2012 or 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I left, it was just starting to get big enough where you might get a peach.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the one hadn't grown yet. It had gotten
Oh,
flowers but never fruit.
just missed out.
Um, yeah. So, but yeah, I was always curious, like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
gonna do with all the peaches that you don't eat? Because, you know, when I by the time I left,
Mm-hmm.
it was me and my dad living in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, look, I know you like peaches, but you're not going to eat a tree full of peaches.
Yep.
in a year. Like it's a lot of peaches. You know
I
what
think
I'm
that's where
saying?
people go really into canning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they end up canning. So
Yeah.
that was something that he mentioned
Mm-hmm.
he might do.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't think he's going to eat a tree full of canned peaches
Yep.
in a full year. Um, because we made pepper jelly
Mm-hmm.
all the and pepper jelly is like my favorite
Can I ask
food
what
stuff.
is paper jelly? Pepper jelly? Like, is it sweet? Is it?
It is both sweet and spicy,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, and you use it as like a meat glaze specifically for like chicken.
Uh huh.
It works really well with
Oh,
chicken.
okay. Okay.
Uh, and
I'm on
yeah,
board
so
now.
like yeah, so you bake with it
Mm-hmm.
mostly. Um, but yeah, it was like our favorite thing, and
Uh huh.
we liked it so much. We would take like a goat cheese spread and like a pepper
Oh.
jelly,
Oh,
and make
nice.
like just chips and cheese,
Uh
except
huh.
with or crackers and cheese, except with pepper jelly on there, and it was great.
That sounds
But
amazing.
yeah, it was really good. And usually when you make it, it's just clear,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then you have to add food coloring to make it look like it has
Like,
peppers in it,
yeah, like red.
because otherwise it
Yeah.
would just look like a clear gel with seeds in it, and you wouldn't know
Oh,
what
okay.
you were
Oh,
going to
okay.
get.
Yeah.
Um, and it burned us the first year that we ever
Mm-hmm.
tried it. We wanted to do several different heat levels of
Mm-hmm.
jelly.
Yeah.
Um, and if you can it, it's like 3 or 4 or 5 months that will last.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 months later, we go into the fridge and we're just gonna make chicken. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna bake some chicken, and we spread a bunch of pepper jelly all over, and we throw it in the
Uh-huh.
oven, and we take it out and take a bite, and it's inedible. It was habanero jelly.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so like you only really need to use a little bit of that
Yeah.
for anything. Um, and usually you add that to like a different sauce that you're making,
Mm-hmm.
and you let it dissolve into the sauce.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, we had just slathered it all over this chicken, and none of us could eat it. Uh, so, so that was how we realized, like, oh, we should probably have just added food coloring, so we
Yeah.
have green, yellow, and red,
Yeah.
and that way like
Mm-hmm.
how hot it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, with peppers, how do you like? Do different
Hmm.
species grow better or worse in different kind of soil? Because I've got a pepper plant outside, and it had one pepper this year, and it was just like the most struggle plant I've ever had.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, peppers are really flexible, so I don't
Oh.
know that they grow. They don't. I've never experienced them growing differently in different
Mm-hmm.
soils.
Okay.
Uh, I've never experienced them like fail, even if you have like shade over
Mm-hmm.
them.
Oh, okay.
I've like grown peppers underneath trees before, and like they'll just grow pretty much
Yeah.
wherever,
Yeah.
almost like a weed. They just like
Now
they
I'm
just grow. So
now I'm really doubting myself because that one pepper plant, I
yeah,
cannot get it to.
and it
Ah,
might have just been a plant that doesn't
yeah. I
fruit
mean,
very much.
oop. I mean, I got it from the garden center, so it might have just been like they just like pulled it out with like fake light, and
Yeah, yeah.
so I might have been just exhausted by the time it got to me.
Hmm. Yeah. I,
Mm.
I even Googled it, like, hey, maybe there's. Ah,
Maybe I'll just take the seeds from the one pepper I grew and like try and try
and
again
try and
next year.
replant them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it was the gardening center,
Mm.
like the artificial lighting or
Yeah.
something like that. Maybe it didn't develop the right kind of root structure
Hmm.
because they're supposed to have like 3 foot roots.
Oh no, it's in a pot. No, it doesn't.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that
Well,
is it.
then
Oh, okay. So mystery
maybe that's
solved.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe it's because it's just a small plant.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What kind of pepper is it?
It's red. I don't remember the name.
Oh, okay. Um,
It's
yeah,
a
in a
red pepper
pot.
and it's sold in Europe, so probably one of the like less spicy ones.
Ah, yeah. You should try if you're going to grow them in a
Hmm.
pot. Try growing African bird's eye chili.
African bird's eye chili. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
gonna write that down. Okay. Like, are they like smaller plants or
yeah.
what's
They're
different?
small plants
Okay.
and small chilies, and they're very very hot.
Ooh.
They're very very hot. Yeah, they're
Bird's eye.
bird's eye. Let's see here. If I can find a good picture, I'll share it with you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. This guy. In the picture.
Oh my god, it's so cute.
Yeah. Yeah, they're cute, but that will like don't eat two of those.
Okay.
Eat one at a time. Yeah. But bird's eye were one of my like
Mm-hmm.
they were one of my go-tos
Yeah.
that like I would plant every year. Um, and they can you can get perennial like chili peppers
Mm-hmm.
that'll last like 5 years. But I just
Probably
preferred these ones
frost is going to be
because
a problem for them. Or
yeah.
ah.
So yeah. So there was a process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you bring them inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Every year we
Yep.
would have to like dig up half of our garden and
Oh
bring
my god.
everything into our garage
Yeah.
and run a space heater for the entire year
Oh wow.
just to make sure no frost grew.
Uh-huh.
Because the plant, it'll stop like obviously it'll stop blooming, it'll stop
Mm-hmm.
producing
Yeah.
um, at like I want to say like 50 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it won't die unless like actual frost
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
on it.
I had
Um,
no idea there's frost in Georgia. I've learned something new.
yeah, it would frost
Oh,
for
okay.
about 1 month a year. You
Uh-huh.
would get like frost on the grass,
Uh-huh.
and that's about it. That's
For
about as bad
one
as it
month a year. Oh my god.
gets. So yeah, it doesn't snow.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get a little bit of frost on the
Yeah,
grass
yeah.
though. Um, so we would bring all of anything that we thought was like valuable or had been hard to start.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we tried to bring back in
Yeah.
and see if we could just keep it alive all winter instead.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had I've had a lot of failures planting plants
Yeah.
because none of us were gardeners in
Mm-hmm.
our past lives. We all
Yeah.
just moved to Georgia and started gardening. Started trying to do it as a company. It
Mm.
was weird,
That's
but
amazing.
yeah. So we had, and you have obviously never tell the people you're helping like, oh, this is my second ever garden.
Yeah. I don't
Just
actually know
pretend
what
to
I'm
do it.
doing, but just trust me.
Yeah, uh, we'll learn together. So
Yeah.
like our our backyard was one of the first
Mm-hmm.
places that we like practiced tilling,
Yeah.
and we first we did like a 40 or 50 square foot
Mm-hmm.
garden patch
Yeah.
by hand, and yeah, we broke the
Wow.
soil by hand, we dug it out by hand, we tilled in new soil by
Uh-huh.
hand.
Sorry, my
Um,
back's hurting just listening to you.
yeah, yeah, it was terrible. And then um, my grandfather actually came over one day while we
Mm-hmm.
were like out there with like blisters all over our hands, and we're just like, it was terrible. And he's like, "Why don't you guys just go to Home Depot and rent a tiller?" What? You can do that? I was like, "Yeah, they'll give it to you for the day for like $20." And so the second 50-foot patch that we made right
Mhm.
next to the first one, we did in one afternoon.
Yep.
Super easy. Like, yeah. So like, that's like how far
You
back
live and you learn.
like we had to go to learn was like
Mm.
how do you make soil?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it took years for me to figure out like what balance I like to use for
Mm-hmm.
gardening soil
Yeah.
of like
Do you have any
sand and
top tips?
compost. Um, there's a ratio that I
Mm-hmm.
learned that's 2 and 1 and 1.
Okay.
So you do 2 parts of like a peat, like
Mm-hmm.
just normal soil,
Okay.
um, and then you do 1 part compost and one
Mm-hmm.
part sand.
Oh, oh, okay.
You mix all that together.
Mm-hmm.
The sand helps retain water,
Yeah.
so it thickens up the gaps in your peat soil,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so that water doesn't drain straight out the bottom too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously compost and peat, like
Yeah.
everybody using those. Um, but yeah, and then it doesn't matter like what quantities you want to
Mm-hmm.
make it in, as long as you have those parts
Yeah.
balanced out that same way. Um, that's and pretty much anything will grow in that.
Okay.
Um, some stuff will grow on accident.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had celery one time. We were trying to do like a really regimented like test zone
Yeah, yeah.
for our garden. So we dug out sort of dividers in
Mm-hmm.
between a bunch of different sections of our
Okay.
garden. So we had a bunch of like maybe a half a meter or like somewhere around there squares
Mm-hmm.
all over our garden, and we would grow one plant in each,
Yeah.
and we would grow each variety or each example of the same plant differently.
Mm-hmm.
So we went so far as like putting umbrellas over one of them to see like how much the shade would hurt
Mm-hmm.
their growth.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we did a lot of trial and error, just like in our backyard,
That's amazing.
and eventually learned a lot.
Oh, God, yeah.
Eventually, but it was fun.
Oh, God, yeah. I just buy stuff at the garden center and then I see if it grows, and if it grows, I keep it. If it doesn't, then someone else gets that spot.
Yeah, yeah, no, and that's also perfectly valid.
Yeah.
Eventually, you'll learn like, oh, this stuff grows where I am very well,
Yeah.
and you can just grow that and be fine.
Mm.
There's
Yeah.
very few places on earth where nothing can grow.
Exactly. Yeah. And also,
Yeah,
I just know myself. I'm not the kind of gardener who's going to like tend to some like struggle plant every day of the summer.
yeah,
So I'm just like, if you can grow, I'm very Darwinistic in that sort of way. Like if you can make it, that's great. If not, then that's your problem.
you know, and we also one of the lessons that we learned
Mm-hmm.
doing all of that trial and error is that sometimes plants just die
Yeah.
because there was like because like obviously you're taking notes while you do all of
Mm-hmm.
that. We had very meticulous records
Yeah.
um, of like this is the type of soil that we used, and this
Mm-hmm.
is the amount of sun and shade that we got in there, and this was the pH balance of the soil,
Oh
and
my God.
yeah, this is how much it
You
rained
went
per
like,
month. This is how much we watered them in addition to the rain. So we
wow.
knew how many inches of water each plant was getting per
Uh-huh.
year. And then the next year, we tried to recreate the one that did the best,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Yeah, of course.
And like almost half of them just died.
Oh
And
my
there was like
God.
nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
It just something must have happened to the seeds
Mm.
over the winter or something. Just
Yep.
just died. Like okay, well, okay, that I guess that just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kept a lot of that like information.
Mm-hmm.
I find that in terms of like keeping track of how much you water it or
Mm-hmm.
how or like what the pH balance of the soil is, all
Mm-hmm.
that's useless.
Yeah.
Don't bother. As long as your dirt was good to start with, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
um,
I like
but
how a garden keeps you humble in that way because you can put as much effort into it as you want. Some stuff's
yeah,
gonna die. Slugs are
yeah.
gonna come, like, caterpillars are gonna come. There's just nothing you can do.
Just one year we got ladybugs.
Oh
It was
God.
like,
Like individually they're cute, but like as a plague they're, oh God.
oh yeah, oh they're terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It was the worst thing that like ever happened to me. I was like, oh, come on, kill everything, and there's no way to get them off.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, well, this, um,
And then they
we're
pee
lucky
on
we
you.
have a
That's
large,
so that's so mean.
yeah,
Like I can kind of deal with like stinging and biting, but like peeing on me, that's just uncalled for.
yeah, yeah, that's just rude.
Exactly.
um, yeah, but it was one of our years where we were trying to grow a lot of tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we started, we didn't do peppers as much as
Yeah.
we did tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know why we made tomatoes. I don't know how we settled on those.
Mm-hmm.
But we were just trying to grow a lot of tomatoes, and then we got just hit with ladybugs, and they ate almost all of our tomatoes.
Oh God, that's heartbreaking.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Yeah.
So much for
Um,
that.
yeah. So I think that was one of the reasons we went to peppers was like to
Mm-hmm.
punish the ladybugs. Like at least if you eat all of our food, it's gonna be spicy.
Yep. That's the most specific vendetta I've ever heard of.
You know,
Right. So we're coming up on an hour. Shall
okay,
we call it here because it's been a really lovely conversation and we can
yeah,
like save some stuff up for the next time.
sure. Yeah,
Excellent. Brilliant.
we'll
So
have to,
in case
we'll
somebody
have to think on
found
this.
this stream, thank you so much for watching. Bryce, do you have any closing words?
No, it's been a pleasure.
Excellent. So bye and see you next time.